What is happening, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Ty from Ty Drives, and sitting before us is the 2024 Kia Forte. This isn't just any Forte, this is the GT, the top dog, the turbocharged four-cylinder hot version of the Forte. So throughout this video, we're going to take a look at all of the features on this car. We're going to take a look at the exterior first, then we'll pop the hood, discuss our powertrains, and we'll also pop the trunk to see how much room there is back there. Also check out the rear seats again to see how much room there is, and we'll also at the end hop into the front seats and check out all the tech in this car. If you're curious to see how this Forte GT drives, which I am too, we are going to do a test drive video on this as well, so make sure you check my channel for that very video. Now the paint color we're working with is current red, and we also have the black Syntex interior. And this is a GT2 package car, so we have pretty much every optional extra on this particular car for us to look at. As far as the headlights go, we have full LED units, so that means the high and low beams, as well as the daytime running lights and turn signals are all LED powered. We have some pretty cool silver accents coming down from the fender all the way towards the grille. And speaking of the grille, we do have some red accents in which whatever exterior color you get, you'll still get those red accents with the GT emblem. So red with the red accents looks pretty good. Taking a look down below, we do have some glossy black going down towards the bottom of the bumper and a little bit more red accents too. And then it will actually be hiding your LED fog lights. So all LED powered lighting up front. Fog lights definitely look pretty good. All illuminated just like the headlights. We've got a short hood with some subtle creases towards the edges. And on the GT, we have 18-inch wheels wrapped in 225/40 tires. And the kind of red accented center cap. We also have machined face to the wheel and this metallic gray pockets inside. The surrounds for the windows are all kind of a flat black, but the mirrors are glossy black, and they have integrated turn signals as well as blind spot warning in them. Taking a walk back, we have our door handles, which have smart key entry, so we just tap the black button to lock and unlock. And again, part of the GT2 package is a sunroof, so this car does have the sunroof. And we're looking at a total tab of this particular car at $28,280. And still pretty good fuel economy, even with the larger of the two engines. Fuel door is on the driver's side. We have the shark fin antenna up top with glossy black. And also finishing glossy black is a nice deckload spoiler. Now back here we have kind of two segmentations of lighting. Now this upper segment looks like it would house everything, but this really only houses the tail lights and brake lights. So that looks pretty good, all illuminated. And you're saying, hey, where's the reverse lights and the turn signals? Let's take a look down below, kind of towards the bottom of the bumper. And we have another segmentation of lighting. So that, again, will have your turn signals and also your reverse lights too. Gonna back up a little bit so that we could see our rear diffuser that also has real exhaust tips, which do sound pretty good. And as soon as we take a look at the engine, we'll get an exhaust clip for you. More red accents with that diffuser. We have rear parking sensors, as well as the reversing camera, and also a trunk release right next to it. And of course, we have our GT badging. Looks very good. Now, before we go any further, I would like to give a huge thanks to Blazius Kia of Watertown, Connecticut, for allowing us to film this car today. They'd be nice enough to do that, so they should be nice enough to help you out with your next Kia purchase. What do you guys think of the styling on the Kia Forte GT? Let me know in the comments. So, popping the hood of the Forte GT reveals the ladder of two engines. And we do have a 1.6-liter turbocharged four-cylinder, and it's good for 201 horsepower, 195 pound-feet of torque. And that'll come hooked up to either a 6-speed manual or a 7-speed dual clutch, this one being the dual clutch model. Now, the other engine option available is kind of the more basic run-of-the-mills engine, which is a 2-liter 4-cylinder, non-turbocharged, 147 horsepower, 132 pound-feet of torque, and that is hooked up to a continuously variable transmission. And no matter what engine or transmission you get, front-wheel drive is the only drivetrain available. Very easy and user-friendly as far as serviceability goes, since we still have an engine oil dipstick and lots of easy fluids reservoirs to check and a very easily accessible battery. Let's see just how much trunk space we have in the Forte. Now, if you press any of the 3 buttons to open the trunk, it will pop open nice and easy for you, thanks to some springs under there. And we actually have a really good amount of space back here. Take a look at that. And we even have some tabs to fold down your rear seats at a 60-40 split. We have some extensions off to each side to put extra stuff. And underneath the cargo floor, we have our spare tire. And you can even utilize some of that space as some extra storage. Once you're done back here, we do have a pretty convenient pull tab. And we can just close the trunk right on down. Alright, so let's get our first glance at the interior with the rear seat. We can check out the door first. Now, as expected, we do have some hard-to-the-touch materials up here and all the way down here, but where your arm rests with some red stitching, it's nice and soft. We do have some glossy black trim with the door handle and lock button, as well as the window switch and a bottle holder towards the bottom of the door. And this does have the Harman Kardon audio system, which has 8 speakers. It sounds pretty darn good. Now, taking a look at the rear seats themselves, we of course have 3 seating across, and we'll get in a moment, see if it'll be comfortable for a third person in the center. Now, we do have our headrests up there, and I did unlatch this side of the seat so we could see what it looks like when we fold down the seat. So as you can see, seat folds flat. There is a little bit of a hump right here, but it is pretty ideal. We're getting some larger cargo into the Forte. Now, we do also have a armrest which you could fold down, and that has a couple of cup holders. And I did adjust the front seat to a normal driving position for myself. I'm 5'10", so let's see how much room a guy of my size should have back here. So, the Forte, being a little bit of a smaller car, doesn't have a whole lot of legroom for a guy of my size, although it is perfectly fine and doable for shorter trips. As you can see, my knees are just barely grazing the back of the seat. I do have a pretty good amount of headroom, though. I'd say about 1 inch or 2 of headroom. And the center hump back here isn't really that big, so if you needed to sit 3 people across for a short time, I'm sure that'll be doable. Now, what's nice in a car in this class is you really don't see that often is rear air vents. So that's nice. You get a little bit of ventilation back here, and you also have a USB charger. Now, on the passenger seat back, you do have a net pocket. And we have a full black cloth headliner in this car, grab handles either side. And we also have some lights for back here, which are all LED. What do you say we check out the front cabin next? Taking a look up front at the driver's door, materials definitely improved. So now we have some nice soft-to-the-touch materials all the way up top, going down towards the armrest. You have some more red stitching up front and a pretty cool pattern with your glossy black trim. Again, your door handle lock-unlock buttons. We also have the window lockout for the rear for your children. All of your window controls, lock-unlock, and all your mirror adjustments too. Taking a look down here, we have a little bit more storage than out back. So instead of just a bottle holder, we have a bottle holder and some storage to either side. And we do have the branded Harman Kardon speakers up front. Pretty cool looking air vents on the dashboard here, and we do have a couple of controls to the left of the dash, this one being your gauge dimmer. Then you can also turn on and off your blind spot warning and the traction control from these two buttons here. We do have a tilt telescoping steering wheel, and the release for that is right there, and some pretty cool looking sporty pedals down here with some metal accents. Hood release is down here too, and we also have the trunk release and fuel door release too down on the floor. Now this GT has some pretty nice looking seats up front. Definitely got some red stitching going on. The GT embossed in the kind of back of the seat. And again, the GT2 package gives us the full kind of Syntex synthetic leather seats. So we have stitching and also some piping too. The driver's seat is completely powered with two-way lumbar, and the passenger seat up front is manually adjusting. Okay, so now that we're seated inside the Forte GT, we can see it has a pretty attractive looking interior. I definitely like the steering wheel with the flat bottom and also the trim running across the dashboard. Now, compared to some other newer Kia models, this is starting to feel a little bit outdated with the kind of older climate control setup and the older screen setup, but still a very, very compelling model. With lots and lots of features in here. We're going to go over all of them. Now, first off, here is the key. So we can see we have the Kia emblem there. Remote start. We also have the lock, unlock, trunk release, panic alarm, and then also a little button at the end to release a physical key. And it's kind of blank on the other side. We, of course, have push button start right here. And you actually do get a nice little sound of the exhaust when you start it up. So it's definitely got a pretty aggressive sounding exhaust on this car with the GT trim. So, but first things first, let's check out the steering wheel. So we have some nice soft leather at the top and at the bottom, but then we also have some dimpled leather right here where you're going to be gripping. And we also have paddle shifters on this car too, so take a listen. Sounds pretty good. You can put that in manual mode and shift how you like. Now, as far as functionalities on the steering wheel go, over here we have kind of all of our media controls. So our voice commands, mode for the audio, Bluetooth phone, and a programmable button. And then we have the up and down for your volume and changing between your different radio stations. On the other side, we have our adaptive cruise control settings right here, as well as your lane keeping assist. We could turn that on and off. Then we also have the page and the up and down plus the OK button for the digital portion of the gauges. Now, behind the steering wheel, we do have a couple of stalks. This one for your headlights, also your fog lights, your automatic high beams, and your turn signals. Now, to the other side, we have our wipers, and when you adjust the wipers, it's pretty cool. Once they're on, they'll all the settings will come up in the center. Now, the gauge cluster is pretty traditional setup. So we have a large tachometer with your coolant temperature in the bottom. Then we have a large speedometer with a smaller gas gauge towards that bottom. And then we have a digital display kind of right in the center. And again, as I said before, we're going to use these buttons here to configure that screen. So right now, we are kind of looking at a driver's assistance sort of menu. If we press the page button, we can get some trip information and a digital speedometer. So we have a couple of different trip settings, plus the digital speedometer. Pressing the page button again will get you navigation directions once you have that set up. And then we also have your tire pressure display. And back on over to our kind of a driver's assistance screen. That'll kind of show you your lane keeping assist and things like that. And then we also have a driver's attention level, which is pretty cool. So if you are on some long road trips, this will kind of remind you to, hey, take a break from driving, pull over for a minute. So that's pretty neat. Other things to take note of in this little screen here are constant. You have what gear you're in, your fuel range, and your kind of exterior temperature and the lane keeping assist visual. The upper dash is actually pretty soft to the touch, and you even have a center channel speaker up there. And that brings me down to our center touchscreen. Nice and large touchscreen kind of sticking up from the dash. We do have some physical volume knob and tune knob, as well as some shortcuts at the bottom. Now, this is kind of your home screen. It'll kind of show you your date, time, and what's playing on the radio, and then it'll kind of fade into the navigation map, which is pretty cool. Now, if you just swipe over like that, you'll have a jumblation of all your different apps, 2 pages of them. Now up here where it's got the little picture, that's where you could sign into your own profiles. We also have a home button and kind of your date and time up top there. As far as the functionalities of the screen go, we do have shortcuts for mostly everything down here. So the navigation, your presets, different radio stations, radio media, and options. But you'll see a bit more within the touchscreen here. So we can go to the map and see that we actually have built-in navigation on this car. And if you want to input a destination, just press that button there. Go to the navigation menu, it'll take you right to where you input the destination. And if you noticed, we'll go into our radio screen here. If you notice, you can actually split the screen up and kind of have the radio screen over here and also have the navigation. So that way if you have a navigation waypoint set and you don't want to really get off of it, but you need to change the radio station, you can still see it right there. So that's a pretty good idea. We have a phone screen, phone protection, which has to do with the Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. We can also leave ourselves voice memos, and we can access the climate control through the screen too, which is pretty cool. We have a valet mode, a quiet mode for those late night drives. We also have our radio like we saw before. Our presets will kind of pop up over here. And then we also have your sources, so that's a pretty cool solution to that. Of course, Sirius XM is activated on this car. We also have our media and our setup, so once you get the car home and in your driveway, you kind of set it up the way you like. And there's one more page with a couple of things such as the Kia Connect, any notifications, and a digital user's manual. So very easy to get used to screen, just kind of showing its age a little bit compared to the newer Kia products, but still very intuitive and easy to use, and it's kind of got all the essentials. And I'm pretty surprised to see that it has navigation in a car of this class. Got our push button start right down here, a couple of air vents kind of seamlessly integrated into the dash, and we have our hazards right there. This is one of the things that's kind of showing its age in this car, and it is the climate control. We do have a dual zone climate control, automatic that is too, which is nice. But we kind of have this old style knobs and older looking screen here, but really no big deal. The functionality is very easy, so just temperature knobs, automatic and off right there, sync and AC buttons right over here, where you want the air to blow right in the center, fan speeds, and your defroster, so very easy to use. Now down here we kind of have like a shelf system, so we have a wireless charging pad on the top shelf, and then down below we have a little bit of storage area with a 12-volt power outlet and 2 USB connections, so that's pretty cool. Down here we have our shifter for the dual clutch transmission. Again, I wish it was a manual shifter, but we are working with the automatic. Obviously very similar, very familiar functionalities for the shifter. We put it into reverse. We have a pretty decent backup camera with your guidance lines and your rear parking sensors visual that'll show up. We of course have neutral, drive, and then you can put it over into a sport mode. And if we start shifting, that will put it into manual, so that's pretty cool. Now down here we also have our seating controls, which are heated and cooled seats on this car, which is awesome to see. Again, one of those features that you really don't see too much in this class of vehicle, but this car has it. We have a couple of different driving modes up here, normal, sport, and smart. So normal and sport are pretty self-explanatory, but smart really has to do with kind of an adaptive driving style. So it'll kind of take notice to how you drive and adjust the way the throttle, the steering feels based on your inputs. This button right over here will pull up your parking camera and parking sensors at any time. And we have a couple of buttons down here, in addition to a couple of cup holders and some storage area. We have our electronic parking brake and auto hold feature. Pretty nice and soft to the touch. Center console area, we could lift that up. And we have actually quite a bit of storage in there. It's a little bit shallow, but definitely enough storage for a car this size. The passenger area is nice with the trim that goes across and a little GT emblem there. And the glove box is plenty big enough smooth plastic inside and tons of stuff in there already. Again, we have the full black headliner, and we also have our visors with a nice big mirror card holder and light up top. And that is the same for the driver's side. We have a spot to put your sunglasses. We also have some interior illumination, again LED. And that brings me up to our sunroof, which is a single panel sunroof, you know, plenty of what you need for a car this size. And the center button, we either tilt it or slide it back for you. So pretty nice addition to this particular car. Now, that pretty much does it for all the features on this Kia Forte GT. Again, if you're curious to see how it drives, head on over to my channel where we have filmed a video of that too. I kind of foolishly slap GoPro to my head and drive the vehicle around, but it kind of gives you a first-person point of view on how the car drives. We'll kind of put it through its paces. But I thank each and every one of you for watching this video, and I hope you catch us next time for more videos just like this one.